Hello all. Good morning to all the participants who have joined the webinar today. You're looking at the product portfolio of endpoint management solution in ManageEngine. These are the products we have under the endpoint management suite. And today I'm going to extensively cover about the mobile device manager plus and its features. As we all know, the whole world is suffering because of this pandemic outbreak, and I still believe there are a lot of cities and states which are in lockdown. Even I'm presenting this webinar from my home, and we extend our warm welcome and thanks to all the participants, and the customers and resellers and the prospects who are interested in managing the solution. I welcome you all once again for the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Ruben Karthik, and I'm associated with ManageEngine for the past 6 years. I do the training and implementation for the endpoint management solution. So before we get into the presentation, please confirm by commenting the chat section if you're able to hear my voice and view the presentation clearly. All right, let me wait for some more confirmation. Thank you. So this is our training schedule. It is a 3-week series, and we have made it in a way where the first week of the training program will be about the device onboarding, how you can add your devices into the management scope. And today, the second week of the training program, I'm going to explain about the app management, how we can install, uninstall, and update application using our Mobile Device Manager Plus product. And next week, it will be about the modern management of Windows 10 and Mac computers. In case if you like to revisit the training program, or if you like to check the question and answers discussed during the training, you can always visit the below mentioned URL. And the agenda for today is, first, I'm going to give you a quick overview about the Mobile Device Manager Plus solution. This is important for those who are not familiar with the MDM architecture and the ports used in our product, and also how does an end device will be managed by our MDM solution. Followed by, we'll get into the app lifecycle management, where I'll demonstrate how to install, uninstall, and update application. And at the same time, even if you wish to deploy your own enterprise application, I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, and also how to test your own enterprise app update and deploy to your production environment. Followed by, I'll show you how to blacklist certain websites and malicious application using a product, and also if you manage any point of sale devices, how we can lock down such phones with certain applications alone can also be shown in today's training, and how we can remotely troubleshoot mobile devices, like how we do it on a laptop or a computer, how we can remotely troubleshoot mobile devices also using our MDM will be seen today in this training, and how to schedule an OS update and what are the benefits of scheduling them will be covered, and also how to lock down a device with certain location with certain geofencing is also discussed in today's training program. And as a last use case, I'll also show you how to secure your devices if that is lost or stolen, how to secure the corporate data available on the device will be shown at the last use case. And meanwhile, at the end of the training program, I'll also share certain real-time scenarios and the best solutions for it, which I have faced in my support experience. And if you, the participants, have any questions or any doubts, if you would like to discuss with us, please comment in the chat section. Our expert panel can answer your questions then and there. All right, let's get into the training now. So first, I'm going to give you a quick overview about the Mobile Device Manager Plus. So these are the list of supported operating systems and the devices which you can manage within our MDM. So iOS, you can manage iPad, iPhones, MacBooks, and Apple TVs using our MDM. And in case of Android operating system, you can manage Android phones and Android tablet. And for Windows, it's Windows Phone, Windows tablets, Windows laptop, and also Surface and Chromebooks. So these are the list of devices and the operating systems which are supported in our MDM solution. And MDM is available as an add-on to Desktop Central, which is a complete unified management product. So you'll also be able to manage laptops and desktops and servers using the tool, and also as a mobile devices will also be managed within the same console. And in case if you're looking for a standalone MDM tool, then we also have the ManageEngine Mobile Device Manager Plus, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. And if we have any MSP audience today who wish to manage the devices from different customers, then we also offer Mobile Device Manager Plus MSP architecture to manage the devices from different companies, which is also available on both on-premise and cloud. And we understand it'll be easier if you can integrate as many applications within our MDM in order to ease your management activities. So that is why we offer the integration to uh, with ManageEngine Service Test Plus, which is a help desk tool. So you can integrate our MDM with ManageEngine Service Test Plus and also other help desk solutions like Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk, and ServiceNow. And we also have an integration with Zoho CRM, which is a client relationship management software. You can integrate that with our MDM. And also we have the local app development software called Zoho Creator, which can also be integrated. And in case if you're looking to integrate anything outside this particular sort of application, you can also refer to the API available at the bottom of the slide, using which you can perform a seamless integration. So now let me show you the mobile device manager plus architecture. So be it any solution, all the MDM will follow a universal architecture which involves three major components. One, the MDM server and the notification services. For Apple, it will be Apple Push Notification Service. And for Android devices, it will be Firebase Cloud Messaging Service. And for Windows, it will be Windows Notification Service. And the third major component is the end device itself. Okay, so these are the three components which plays a major role in managing your end devices. And to understand the workflow or how does an end device be managed, let's assume I would like to find out a location of an iPhone. So what I'll do, from the MDM product, from the console, I'll initiate a command, say locate device, and that command will be sent to the notification service. In case if I wish to find out a location of an iPhone, the Apple Push Notification Service will be contacted by our MDM server, which in turn will wake up the device using the UDID of the mobile phone. And this device will communicate to the MDM server, will get to know what command has to be processed. And in this example, it's going to fetch the geo coordinates of the device, and it's going to post back the status to the MDM server, which in turn I'll be able to see it in the MDM console. So this is how the communication flow will be. I'll initiate a command from MDM server, be it locate device or app installation or any command that will be sent to the notification service, which will wake up the device and which in turn will contact the server to process them. And in case if you wish to host the solution on-prem, and if you don't want to expose the internal server, then you also have an additional component called secure gateway, which can be exposed to the internet devices. The devices which tries to communicate from outside your corporate network will use the secure gateway's address, which in turn will redirect the communication to your internal MDM server. Okay, in order to know more about how and what are the different ways you can set up a solution, we also offer a free online demo. In case if you're ready to look for a demonstration, you can always contact us via chat, or you can even comment it in the chat section now, where our team can schedule it. And these are the list of ports used by the mobile device manager plus solution. This is essential in case if you have an on-premise MDM tool. And 9383 port is used for the devices to communicate with the MDM server. And MDM server to notification services will go with 443. And devices to notification service will use 5223. And these are the list of ports used by the Android devices. And in order to know more about the protocol and the inbound and outbound port information, you can visit the below mentioned URL. So far, I've shown you how the communication will happen and what are the ports required. Now, how does an end device be managed? As we saw, this is a client and server model. So we need to have a component installed on the end devices. For Android, you need to have an ME MDM app installed on the devices, which is mandatory. But in case of iOS, Windows, or Chromebooks, you don't need to install the MDM app for management. We leverage the native MDM client which is already present in the OS itself, which means you just need to have the MDM profile created on these devices to manage. And in order to know more about how the devices can be onboarded or how it can be enrolled, I will recommend you to visit the previous training program. If not, you can also contact us via chat now. Our team can share the necessary documents. All right, let's go into the app management. So before we get into the topic, I would like to quickly show you how the MDM solution looks like, and maybe you'll get familiar with the product and the tabs available in our solution. And as I said at the beginning, this is how the desktop central MDM looks like, which helps you to patch your endpoints. It's a complete unified management tool, and which you'll have the same options what's available on the standalone MDM too. And in the MDM, that's Mobile Device Manager plus product, and the Home tab, you can see the basic reporting functionalities. This gives you a graphical view on the type of devices you manage and what type of OS platforms you have. And here, even in case if there are multiple technicians who manage a solution, the super admin can find out the audit log informations here, which technician have performed what actions. The audit log feeds gives you those report about it. And device management is what I'll be covering today. So the most of the options, what you see under this particular tab, will be seen in the training. So about where you can create groups, how we can deploy application, what are the features available in it. And under inventory tab, you can check the basic asset information. Like what are the devices you have. This is like a dashboard where you get to see what are the devices you manage and the username and the OS details. In case you can choose whatever columns you wish to see in this particular inventory devices dashboard, and you can even export these informations as a report. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices into the management scope. And there are a lot of enrollment techniques we have based on the purpose of management. In case if it is a personal device or a BAOD devices, then you have to follow a different set of procedure. And for corporate owned devices, you have to follow another way of enrollment, so which is already covered in the first week of the training. And under reports tab, you can see certain predefined reports available. So like in case if I want to find out which are the devices have Zoho meeting application already installed, I can go with this particular report. In case if I wish to find out what are the jailbroken devices available within the management scope, I can even click on this particular report. So you also have a custom reports where you can build your own reporting, and you can also schedule them. Say every Monday morning, I want to check certain reports based on the use cases. Like you can also schedule them and you can choose the format of which the report has to be sent to your email address. Under admin tab, you can create technicians, you can define roles to the technician, you can even rebrand your company logo instead of keeping managed in mobile device manager. And in case, even if you wish to go with the secure gateway installation, you have to configure those details here. And under support tab, we have 3 modes of support channels where you can instantaneously get in touch with our chatting. We have live chat support for it. And in case if you prefer to talk over the technicians over the call, you also have the toll-free number, and you can also create a ticket by having this option. Okay. So this is, I just want to show you a quick overview about the MDM tabs and make you familiar with it. Now let's get into the app management lifecycle. So I'll show you how to install and manage your application. And to see the overflow or the workflow of how you can manage your application within the devices, first you need to add your application to the app repository. So each MDM instance will have their own repository. You can add the Play Store application, if not the enterprise application, into the app repository. And when you try to distribute or install these applications on the devices, if it is a Play Store application, the app installation will get initiated from the store. But whereas in case if you deploy your own enterprise app, the devices will contact the MDM server to get the application. So let me first show you how to deploy a Play Store application using our MDM tool. So I'll go to the device management section here. I'll go to app repository. So first, let me show you how to add an Apple App Store. I'll just click on this option. And you can also choose the place or location as per your requirements. Say in case if you're from Canada or United Kingdom, you can choose the appropriate place or location and search for the required app. Let's assume I'm trying to deploy the Zoho Creator application using my MDM tool. So I'll just click on the app, and I can also configure certain app policies. So in case if I wish to remove this application when the MDM profile is removed from the device, I can enable this option. If not, let the app stay even if the device goes outside the management scope, and you can uncheck. And also you have an option to restrict the users taking a backup for this particular application. And even if you wish to customize this very same app by adding certain user information or profile information, you can also upload the XML file. And this can be done only if the app developer for this particular application supports it. So now let me just save the application here. So this is how you add the app into your MDM app repository. The app is already added. Now, in order to distribute this application, I can go to groups and devices. So we always recommend you to test this app deployment on 1 or 2 devices first, and then you go to a group-based deployment. So what I'll do, we also have filters. I'm going to filter the devices based on the platform. I'm selecting my device, and I'll just distribute app. So first, let me show you how you can distribute this application to the app catalog. And it's like a self-service portal on the user end. The users can go to MDM app on the device, go to app catalog section, and they can initiate a deployment for the apps being distributed by the admin. So I'll also have an option to notify the users that the administrator have published so-and-so app at this time. The users can go to the app catalog and initiate it. So this is how I'll add the apps to the app repository and distribute it to a device. On the user end, you can go to the MDM app, go to app catalog section. The users can click on install and update their iTunes account. Okay, so in the self-service portal, the users can see multiple applications being distributed by the admin, and they can choose whatever app they wish to install on their devices. Say there's a base package, you have 10 or 15 applications, which you do, by default you will distribute to all the devices and let the users decide based on their requirement, and they can install it from our app catalog. Because we do have a restriction where you can prevent the users from installing the app catalog from Play Store. So if the user needs any application, they have to send a request to the administrator. So once after the users clicks on install and provide their iTunes account details, the app starts to install. This will be available on the device. And then after, you can go to groups and devices, select the appropriate group, and then you can distribute using the same manner. So you can just choose distribute app, search for the application, and distribute it to your devices. And as we saw in this particular method, every device must have an iTunes account, and the user intervention is required. Okay? So this is mandatory in case if you wish to deploy certain lot of application to the user end, and let the user decide based on the requirement, you can go with this particular mode. Now let me show you how we can silently deploy the application. So in case if you don't want to make the users to go and initiate a deployment, and as also we saw, every user has to provide their own iTunes account, but how to simplify and automate the app installation. For iOS, we have an ABM integration through Apple Business Manager. You can purchase and approve application, which can be silently installed on the devices. And for Android, it will be managed Google Play Store. So first, as a prerequisite, you need to have at least one ABM or Google, either the G Suite or non-G Suite account to integrate with our MDM server. And for iOS devices, the devices should be supervised. And for Android, it has to be above 5.0 or later version. And the workflow of silent app installation is you just need to integrate your MDM server with our, you need to integrate the ABM or Google Play Store server with our MDM, and then approve or purchase application, and then distribute to the devices through which you can silently deploy. And in order to integrate with ABM or manage Google Play Store, you can go to app repository again. So remember, before we Before I showed you how to add a Play Store app, now I'm going to show you how to integrate and silently install application. So for that, for Apple, for iOS devices, you can click on Apple App Management. So I've already integrated with my ABM account. In case if we have any audience who haven't integrated, this is how the UI will look like. It'll be two-way handshake. You just need to provide the ABM account details and upload the S token into an upload. So it's a free program offered by Apple for business purpose or the educational purpose in order to distribute the application silently. In case if we have any audience from the educational institution, then you can choose for Apple School Manager, where they have a dedicated portal to import the educational application. And now let me show you how you can integrate with Apple Business Manager. For this, you need to have an ABM account. In case if you don't, then you do have an option to click on Create Business Account, where it prompts you to provide your company information over here. And in case if you do, you can just click on you can log into the business.apple.com. Using your ABM account, you can sign in. And then you need to go to the Settings tab, Apps and Books section, where you can see the list of server you have integrated on your ABM portals. And you have the server token to download from here. Just download the server token from the ABM portal and upload it here. And after uploading the token, you have to choose the app installation type to be without Apple ID. Because if you go with prompts for Apple ID, even though you purchase or approve application from the ABM portal, still when you distribute to the devices, it will prompt for the Apple iTunes account. So I'll go with the first option. And it is recommended to provide the administrator's email address here, because the server token, whatever you upload, is valid only for 365 days. So every year you have to renew, and you will get a notification prior to that. So after updating the S token, this is how the UI looks like. So where you can see the organization name and the account which you have used for integrating, and the total number of apps being synced. And in order to purchase or approve application, even a Play Store application or free application can be added from the ABM portals. So you can go to the Apps and Books section under Content Management, search for the required app, and you need to make sure this particular option is enabled. The device assignable section should be enabled for the application. Only then you can silently assign or install the application on the end devices. So after selecting the app, you can choose the location, the MDM server for which you want to distribute, and the number of devices where you're going to install this very same app. So I've already purchased for 310 devices. So I'll just go to the app section again. And I'll verify whether the apps are available. And then if it is, remember, like I've said initially, you can go to groups and devices, test this on a particular device, just make sure whether the app silently is getting installed silently. And if so, then you can apply to your production environment. So now when I distribute this very same app, which I have purchased or approved from the ABM portal, I'll then choose the appropriate app, and I'll choose the silent installation as a type. And after distributing the application through this way, the app will start to silently get installed on the device. So now the user doesn't have to go to MDM app or go to app catalog section to initiate it. So even without the iTunes account, the app will start to install on the end devices. So this is how we can integrate your ABM portals with our MDM server and approve application to silently install. And as a recommendation, we ensure that the devices needs to be connected to a Wi-Fi, because the Apple doesn't let you to download an app through mobile data if the size is more than 200 MB. So in case if you have any questions related to the ABM integration, you can always comment in the chat section. Our team can help you. Now let me quickly show you how to integrate with the Manage Google Play in order to silently install the Android application. So you can go to the Manage Google Play. You can either choose G Suite or without G Suite. And when you click on configure now, this page takes you to this way, and you can click on get started, and you can provide your MDM server name and make sure the managed in EMM is updated here. After this GDPR law has been passed, it has become mandatory to provide the data protection officer. You can update your colleagues' details over here. These engineers will be contacted if there is any privacy or security related question which the Google team has to discuss with. These officers will be contacted for it, and then you can enable the license agreement and complete the registration. So after integrating with your managed Google Play Store, you can either with G Suite or with G Suite, you can see the details available over here. And now in order to add application, you can just click on add apps and search for the required application. I'm just trying to deploy the Zoho meeting application to my end devices, and you just need to approve. In ABM, you just need to click on the server name, and you have to update the number of devices for which you're going to distribute. But in case of Android, you don't just need to upload the application, and you can distribute this app to any number of devices you wish. So you can update the app permission details over here. And in case if you wish to get notifications about it, you can also select the option over there. And once the app has been approved, you can click on save and sync. This will start to sync with your managed Google Play account and get those apps added to your MDM app repository. So once after the app has been added, in case if you wish to customize certain app permission, you do have an option over. So you just need to click on the app name over here. Let me filter based on the operating system again. Okay, you have permissions here, and you can by default you can enable, say whenever the users use this application, they cannot modify the phone or storage option. It should always be allowed. So likewise, per application, you can configure certain permission based on the business requirement. Once this is updated, then you can go to groups and devices section, select the appropriate device or group, and then distribute the application. So once done, the same way the app will start to install. And in case even if the app has been added as a BIOD technique, still the app will get installed with the work batch icon over there. And this is how the app permission will be updated. So in case if you have enabled always on or allow, then the users will not be able to manage or change those permissions on the app end. So we have seen how we can add a Play Store app, distribute to the devices, and how the users can go and select what are the applications they want and install. And also I've shown you how to silently install the apps on the devices. Now, let me show you how you can control the app updates. There are two ways which you can do. In case if you wish to automatically update the application whenever there is a new version comes up, then you can enable this option, automate store app updates. And you can just click on save. So whenever there is a new version gets released for an app, it automatically or silently gets updated on the devices. But in case if you wish to take control on the updates, then you can click on app repository where you can find out the list of applications which require an update. So you can click on the number which takes you to the apps which require an update. Click on the app name and then go to distribution details. Here you can choose the appropriate device which you wish to test or update that application on them. So in case if, for an example, let's say I wish to update this application only on this particular device, and then after if the update is working fine, then if I wish to approve it to all the devices, then I can go with the update all. So this is something where you can take control on the app updates too. If not, if you want to silently install application, you can just go to the automate store app updates, which silently update the application on all the devices. So far, I've shown you about the Play Store apps. Now let me discuss about managing your own enterprise application. So if you have your own IP or APK file, which you would like to distribute your end devices, and for that, is an ABM or managed Google Play account not mandatory? No. And also, you have an option to test your own enterprise application before deployment. And as a prerequisite for iOS, the device must be supervised, which has to be added through an ABM or Apple configurator technique. Only then you can deploy your own enterprise application. For Android, it can be a Samsung device. If not, for other non-Samsung devices, it has to be provisioned as a device owner. So now let me show you how you can add your own enterprise application and deploy it to your end devices. That you can go to the app repository. So first is, like I've said in the beginning, you can either add a Play Store application to your repository or your own enterprise app and then distribute your end devices. Now let me show you how we can add your own enterprise Android enterprise application using a product. So I'll choose the Android enterprise app. You can browse for the required APK file. You can either drag and drop. If not, you can just click on upload file, which automatically starts to validate the APK file and bring out the necessary app information. This is just taking a while to update the app informations. So once after you upload the app informations over here, you can also configure certain permissions. So apologies for this. So I'm just trying to add it from another server. So this is how it automatically validates. Since the app has already been added, just throws out the message. Let me just try to clear out the app and then re-add it to our app repository. So like I said, it automatically updates the app information and even displays what version of the app has been added and the name of it. And in case if you wish to configure certain variables like username or informations to the application, you can also add those details over here and then save the app. So once the app has been saved, I can just go to groups and devices section like how we did before and distribute to it. You can just test it on one device and make sure whether the APK file is working fine in case of silently getting deployed. Then you can go to the groups and select the appropriate groups to distribute. And in case if there is a new update available on this for the very same app, then you can just go to this upload new version section, choose the latest APK file which you want to update for this very same app, then you can upload that. This will show me there is an older version of the update available, and the one which I'm trying to add now will be shown as an beta version. I'll just click on update. So this will act like a beta version. The latest APK file, whatever I've uploaded, will act like a beta version now. If I wish to distribute, I can just click on distribute app, apply to a group or a test group which you have, and then see whether this latest update is working fine on your environment. Okay, so this is how you can test your own update file on your devices and then approve it. In case, say this particular app version is causing some issues, then I can just choose to replace the APK file and I'll upload the latest, the fixed one. And it'll again show there is a beta version available. Would you like to update? As it's been changed to version 3.0. And I assume I've tested this and the version 3.0 seems to be working fine. Then I can click on mark as stable. Like I've distributed this the 3.0 version to certain devices and seems to be working fine. Then I can click on mark as stable. And then I'll get an option whether to install this very same enterprise application silently on all the devices or distribute the app catalog where the users can go to the MDM app and then test it on the devices. Then you can choose the appropriate options accordingly. So this is how I can add my own enterprise application into the app repository section and then deploy to your devices. And even if there is an update available, I can test this on certain groups and then approve it. So we have shown about how we can install, uninstall, and update application. Let me quickly show you how we can prevent the users from installing certain malicious app on your devices. So for that, we have profile management, where you can create profile and configure certain permissions on the user's end. Say, as per this use case, I want to prevent the users from installing malicious applications. What I'll do, first of all, I'll take control and I'll create a restriction where I'll enable the users can install unapproved app I'll just go and restrict this particular option. So the users cannot go to Play Store and initiate any application or install any application if this option has been applied to them. Right? So this is some option which I can use and prevent the users from app installation. And whenever the users needs any app, they can send an email to the administrators, and only when an app has been distributed through our MDM, it can be installed on the devices. And in case if the user have already installed certain application and you wish to prevent them, then you can go to the inventory section where you can see the list of apps installed on all your devices. So you can choose the appropriate app. Let's say I wish to blacklist certain application. I'll just select the required apps and I can either blacklist to all the devices, if not to specific group of devices alone. And once after I blacklisted an application, you can also choose what actions to be performed on the blacklisted apps, either to uninstall immediately or notify the users about this and then uninstall or just send a notification. But first, I'll prevent the users from installing any application, any unapproved application from the device end. And then even if it's been already installed, I'll just go and blacklist them. And even if the user tries to reinstall this very same blacklisted app, they will get a prompt that this particular application has been restricted by the MDM admin. So this way, I can prevent the users from accessing any malicious app on my devices. And now, let me show you how we can also prevent certain malicious website, how the users, in case if the users try to access certain website, how to prevent that by our MDM solution. Again, you can create a profile. So you also have a quick launch options from here, where you can create a profile. So you have web content filtering here, where you can also whitelist and blacklist website. So if you go with whitelist, whatever website you update here, only that will be allowed, and the rest of websites will all be blocked on the user device end. And if you wish to go with the other way, say blacklisting, so there are certain websites which you feel like blacklisting or which you like to prevent it from the user's access, then you can go and select the blacklist option, update these details over here. So this is a payload which we have. Once after you create a profile, you can go to groups and devices again, test this very same profile on a particular device and make sure whether you're able to access this website. You can associate the profile. In case if this profile seems to work fine, then you can go to groups and devices section, apply to all the groups where the blacklisted websites cannot be reached by the user end. And let's assume you have certain point of sale devices where you wish to lock down those devices only with certain application. Then how you can do that using our MDM solution? You have again the profile option where you can create a kiosk profile using which you can lock down the devices with only certain application. So you can either lock your devices with only one application. Say I want to lock down the device only with Google Apps. So this will be for the retailers where they will travel to deliver certain goods and they can access only to the Google app. Then I'll lock down those applications using the single app kiosk mode. And you need to provision the devices using the device owner technique. So there is a way where you can enroll the devices in order to lock your phones with single app or multi-app kiosk mode. And in case if you go with multi-app, you can choose the list of apps which needs to be allowed on the devices. And you can also choose the launcher type. In case if you go with the device launcher, there are certain options which you cannot enable on the device in. But in case if you go with the MDM launcher, you can customize the device restriction. Let's assume I wish to give control to the users on reducing the volume or even accessing the power button or back button. Likewise, I can customize the device restrictions based on the requirement. And also I can choose the default app since I'm going to lock my devices with certain applications alone. In case if the device is idle for more than 30 seconds, then automatically an app should get launched on the device end. Likewise, you can create a kiosk profile based on your requirement and then distribute your devices. So once after you distribute this profile, this is how the device will look like. In case if you go with a single app mode, and if I lock my devices with only Google Maps, then this is how it looks like. In case if I go with multi-application, then the users, whenever they unlock the device, they can only see or access to these apps alone. So far, we have seen about the app management, how we can restrict the users from installing certain application and also lock down the devices with certain apps alone. Now, let me show you how we can troubleshoot the devices by taking remote control. In case if this is a corporate device and the device is outside the organization, it's with the field agents. And in case whatever steps or whatever recommendation you're trying to suggest on the user end, if they're not able to perform it, you can take remote control from our product and troubleshoot those devices. So I can remotely control Android, Samsung devices, Lenovo, Sony, and other couple of Android devices. In case for iOS, you can remotely view. Let me try to take control of this particular device. So we use the Zoho Assist application for taking remote connection. And it will open in a new tab. And for the first time, the users will be prompted for the remote control. And as soon as the users accepts the permission, you'll be able to see the user end. So this is how the screen looks like. And in case if the device is connected to the network, you'll be able to straight away see that. And we also have certain remote commands, so where you can uh, disable or enable kiosk mode. Let me try to close the remote control and initiate again. And like I said, in case if you wish to silently take control, when you prompt for the remote control for the first time, you can choose always allow, and the administrators can straight away take control of the devices. And let me try to exit the kiosk mode. And in case if it is just a remote view option, you'll not be able to navigate to the application or just or type anything on the device. You'll just able to remotely view. And like I've said, only certain Android devices can be remotely controlled, but on Samsung or other Android devices can only be remotely viewed at the same time. Even for iOS devices, they can only remotely view. You can check the list of devices which are supported for remote control. So we have a dedicated KB article which explains about the remote control operation over here. And these are the list of devices which supports remote control, and none other than these devices can be remotely viewed. Let me just go to the next use case. So now let me show you how we can restrict the devices from leaving a certain area, like how we can lock down the devices to a geofencing location. So we have an option under the device management section again, where you can create a fence, and you can create a fence from 150 meters to 500 kilometers. So you can choose the appropriate location you wish to. And say you wish to create a boundary of 100 kilometers, you can just choose the appropriate location over here. First, create a fence based on your requirement, and then you go and create a policy to it. So what should happen if a device moves outside this fencing location? So you can create a policy related to that. And let's assume immediately if a device goes outside the location, I want to get the notifications about it, and I'll choose the email address which should be notified. And after a day, let's assume in case if the user doesn't come back to the geolocations, I can either choose a complete wipe, in case it will delete everything on the device, in case if you wish to lock down the devices using this particular mode, which I'll explain in some time. You can also either go with enabling a lost mode. If not, you can do a complete wipe. So immediately if a device gets outside the geofencing location, you get an alert, and after a day, that will wipe out the device. So this is how I can restrict the devices with certain area, and I can take actions if a device moves outside this region. And now I'm going to show you how we can automate the OS update. And as you know, in case of the devices which are not updated, which are not updating the OS version, it missed out the security patches, and also the older OS version tends to get slower with time. And there are, in case if you are using a lot of enterprise-based application, it might not work with the oldest OS update. So we have an option to schedule and automate the OS update based on your requirement. It's just going to be a one-time setup. If based on your requirement, you can either immediately update certain devices. So whenever Apple or Google releases an update, certain devices can be immediately updated. Maybe let's assume that's a test device. You can choose an immediate update option. Whereas for production environment, you can delay it. And also you can give a permission to the users as per their requirement. They can also go and update their OS. So let me quickly show you how the option has to be configured on the product side. You go to the device management section, automate OS updates. So you can create a policy for iOS and Android and Chromebook separately. For Android, like I said, first I would like to create a policy to immediately upgrade whenever Google releases an update. So I'll just choose this particular option, and I'll select this policy and apply to certain groups alone. Let's say assume the test devices alone. Then I'll create a different policy and delay the deployment for a week. And I can even choose the preferred week day of deployment should happen. And you can also mention the timing where the update should happen or when the update should happen. And you can also give permission to the users whether to skip the update or not. So if you enable this option, the users can skip the deployment after 7 days. And let's assume even the users can skip only for another 7 days, so 2 weeks from the release time. Then it should forcefully update the OS on the devices. Then I'll create a policy, something like this. So once after creating the policy, just going to distribute either to a particular device or a group of devices. And this ensures all my devices runs on the particular OS version and also not miss out any security related breaches if in case of the devices are not updated. And at the last use case, I'm going to show you how we can secure your devices in case of it's been lost or stolen. So you can go to the inventory section in case if any of my users report that his or her device has been lost or stolen. I'll just go to the inventory section, click on the appropriate device, and I will enable the locate device command. First, I'll initiate a location tracking on that particular device, which will give me the exact location in case if the device is reachable. I'll be able to find out the location. And I can either go and remotely wipe this information in case of the device. I don't want to lose the corporate information. You also have an option to completely wipe or do a corporate wipe. If not, you can also enable this last mode, which will completely lock the devices with this. And the users who have access to the device can only perform this option called call. You can update the number, and the user who have the device or who got the device can only click on call. And apart from this, the users will not be able to swipe the notification bar or put this device into airplane mode or turn off. No actions can be performed on the device if you go enable the last mode. And even if my user have configured a very easy detecting passcode, like say like 123, I can just change it to a new password, a complex one, which will be sent as an email to the users. And if the user got back the device, let's assume after enabling the location tracking, I get to see that the device is within the office premise itself, then the users can unlock the device once after you got it by the new password, whatever you have entered. As a worst case scenario, if in case of the device is lost, it's not able to retrieve, you can also go corporate wipe. So corporate wipe will remove the policies and application which has been distributed by our MDM. And complete wipe will do a factory reset and deleted on the device. And this is how this screen looks like in case if we enable the last mode. The users can only click on call. Now, let me share you the real-time scenarios and solution which has been raised by the other customers during the support sessions. So first use case I've taken is to how we can prevent the users from uninstalling the corporate application. Obviously, even though you distribute, in case if you don't restrict the users from uninstalling, you can do that. So for that, you can again create a profile. Upon this, I'll create an Android profile. And you have the options under the restriction section. So you have a lot of restrictions available, and it is again based on the enrollments which you have processed on the device end. So as the scenario I've taken, in case if I wish to restrict the user installing any application, I'll go to the restriction tab. Application, you have a separate period available here, and I'll enable this option. Uninstalling apps can be restricted. So after creating this profile, I'll go and distribute to all my users who cannot uninstall the application. And as the only way, if you go and blacklist the application, only then it will be removed on the device end. That's the first scenario I wish to share it with the audience today. And second, scenario is in case a user has reset the device and left the organization. When I try to reactivate, it will prompt the previous user credential. As we know, recently all the Android devices have the factory reset protection enabled by default, and you need to have the previous user's credentials to unlock the phone. And in order to prevent such happenings, you have a profile available in our Android section called EFRP, the Endpoint Factory Reset Protection, using which you can configure your corporate email address and the account information. You can just click on the help article here, which tells you how you can get the corporate account ID information. So using this information, you can even add multiple email address. And by saving this profile and distributing to the users, and in case after publishing this particular profile, if the users leave, you can still activate your devices using the corporate email account published on those endpoints. So be it any profile, either restrictions or EFRP or web content filtering, if you'd like to know about these profiles in detail, you can always click on help article, which is available at the right-hand side of every payload, using which you can go through which is supported on what type of devices will be clearly explained under the help article too. And the third scenario, how we can prevent the users from turning on notifications on the Android devices. Like same way, you can go to the restrictions again. You have location settings here, and I'll choose always on. In case if you want to track down the device location all the time, we also have the location history tracking. So in case of if you wish to track down the movement of your employees or the users managed devices, you can go to the inventory section where you can configure the geo tracking based on the requirement. So I have enabled the location history tracking to get detected on every 1 kilometer's movement of the devices. In case if you want to track down with every 100-meter movement, then you can configure the settings this way and save the changes. And this ensures the location service will always be on because they've applied a restriction on all the devices. And if I wish to track down the location of all my users, you can go to the geo tracking option here. You have location history, and you can see the location which the user have traveled yesterday or week before. This gives me the complete information about it. So that's it. We have come to the end of the training program. Please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 is the best. And you can also spread a word with hashtag mobile device manager or with ManageEngine and the social media platforms. And next week, we're going to see about the modern management of Windows and Mac computers, which is going to happen on June 9. You'll have 2 sessions, one at 6:30 GMT and 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I thank each and everyone for joining even in this outbreak situation. I request everyone to take care of yourself and the family around you. Please stay safe. Thank you again.